Well, Lincoln's military experience is certainly very limited. He does join the militia in the Black Hawk War. It's limited, it's brief, but it has some formative elements in terms of his future career. Certainly the fact that he's elected captain of his company is something that he says many years later, after he's been nominated for president, he looks back and says, that electoral victory gave me more satisfaction than any other I've had to this day. It meant a lot, as it would to any young man, to win the respect of your peers. Lincoln says in one of his first speeches running for office that his goal is simply to win the respect of his peers, and that election as captain shows that he has earned it. There's nothing unusual about the election. That's how the militia chose their officers, and that practice continues on right into the first years of the Civil War. Soldiers voted for their officers. And this, in some ways, worked out because you did therefore get a natural leader, often the most important person in the town who now has joined the company, or the most prominent person or the best politician now becomes a leader of a military company. So there is a natural hierarchy there. The negative side is that there's no correlation between political skills and military skills necessarily. And when that system was carried on into the Civil War, you had a lot of political generals and political officers elected early on who proved extremely incapable. They had time to filter themselves out. By 1862, 1863, the elections are no longer carried on, or if they are, they're just a sham, and the colonel picks who he wants anyway. And the bad officers have weeded themselves out. In the Black Hawk War, there's no time for that, so these political officers, like Abraham Lincoln, go through the whole campaign. But it gave Lincoln some experience in leading others, not in leading them into combat, but simply keeping a group of 30 or 40 boys together under difficult conditions, privations, marching far from home. That in itself was an exercise in leadership. The incident in which one of the Indians comes into the camp and the other soldiers there want to murder the person because they haven't had any chance to fight real Indians as they see it. So they're going to kill this person who's just walked in looking for food, basically. And Lincoln defies the mob and protects the individual. Says, you have no reason to hurt this person. So even there, he learns that leadership can be successful, not only leading when the mob is following you, when they're voting for you, but also when you're standing in opposition to them. He talks about his service in the famous speech he makes against Lewis Cass, where Cass has bragged of his role in the Mexican War, and Lincoln then ironically talks about his own experience with the struggles, the bloody struggles with the mosquitoes and the charges on the wild onions. He also talks about the militia in another speech that he gives during the 1852 campaign to the Scott Club in Illinois, where he discusses the militia as this useless social organization, which it had become, which it really is through most of its tenure in American history. He describes how there was a law that no two men were to dress alike, and in the event that two of them did dress alike, the one who dressed the most alike was to be fined $10. And no man was to wear more than 40 yards of bologna sausages for a sash, and so on like that. The militia was just an occasion for dress up and heavy drinking.